Well, here I am with the very talented comedian, fiddle player, Pixie Jenkins. Pixie.
Mate, Mark, nice to see you.
Thanks for hanging out for a few minutes to have a bit of a chat.
My pleasure.
Now, a comedy fiddle player. It's not a combination that you see very often.
No, and I've never really thought of myself as a comedian at all. I mean, I try to tell funny stories and such about my life growing up in the Australian bush and all that sort of stuff, but I suppose people find some of my stories funny, yeah.
You've been on the country music scene for how long?
Well, probably 37 years.
37 years?
Yeah.
Can you remember way back to your very first ever gig?
You know, you asked me to think about this before, the question. I actually do remember my very first gig was as a 15-year-old growing up in Tamworth. I was the only violin player in town, and I got the job I got a phone call one day from Eric Scott, who used to own Hadley Records, the famous Hadley Records in Tamworth, who recorded some of the great legends of Australian country music. And he rang me up one day and said, "We need a fiddle player to play on a Rick and Thel Carey album." And there's several things in that sentence I knew nothing about. So I went to the studio and I got to play the melody to "What a Friend We Have in Jesus" behind one of Rick and Thel Carey's famous old Australian gospel monologues. And that fact I'm very proud of, a long association with the real Australian country music.
Was there a religious upbringing in your family at that point?
Oh no, not at all, not at all. No, definitely not.
So, and you term yourself as a fiddle player.
Yeah, fiddle primarily.
For someone that doesn't know too much about it, is there actually a difference between a fiddle and a violin?
Well, I mean, look, the old joke goes, "Oh, there's no difference. It's only the only difference is the person who's signing the cheque." But it's the person who's playing the instrument. I mean, I'm a fiddler. I tend to hark towards the more folk and Celtic styles of the instrument. I used to play classical music when I was younger. In fact, some of the tunes I do in my show were belted into me by the nuns, as it were. But I love fiddling. I don't really enjoy playing the classical music much anymore. So.
It really amazed me the other night when I saw your show that you sing and play at the same time. Now that's not something that I've seen a fiddler do. Strangely
enough, it's not the case. It seems to be the case worldwide. There's not many fiddle players that actually sing and play at the same time, like a lead guitarist in a band or a bass player who would sing and play at the same time. There doesn't seem to be anything special about that, but as soon as they see a fiddle player do it, it's like, oh, that's a bit strange. But I've always played in bands and stuff for like that long that singing harmonies and playing the fiddle lines, it's sort of just been a part of what I do. I've never taken much notice of it.
Yeah, well, it was quite, you know, because you've got it tucked up under the chin there, and I would have thought that it wouldn't have been something. At what point did you go, you know what, I reckon I can sing while I'm doing this?
I never really made the decision. I don't ever remember going, oh, I think I'll learn to rub the tummy and pat my head at the same time. You just end up doing it because it's a necessity. There's fiddle lines and there's harmony lines and you're part of the band and you just end up doing it.
Yeah, yeah. And at this point in the country music scene in Australia, it is on the rise and it's getting more notoriety and everything. Now, being a gay man from Tamworth and a fiddle player, I wouldn't have thought that there'd be too many people for you to look up to.
Well, I'm probably the only openly gay country music performer that's ever been on stage in Australia. I know a couple of them are. Names shall remain nameless. Wait for my book, Homo Amongst the Gum Trees. But I just, it's never worried me. But you know the funny part about it is, Mark, that over the years I've had a lot of young gay and lesbian people who've come up to me and said, "Oh, I'm their like
role model."
Role model, and God forbid me being a role model.
You could be a role model
for other gay and lesbians, but there you are, apparently. It's really nice that that's been the case. But I've always tried to be myself on stage, and that was the one thing that I was taught by many artists over the years, is to always be yourself on stage, especially if you're a country music performer, because they want to see the real you. They want to be a part of you as an entertainer. And I've always thought it. To be perfectly honest, I can always pick people who aren't themselves on stage, and it tends to come over as completely fake.
Yeah.
And you know.
You were saying the other day that you're off to the Gympie Muster.
Yep.
In a few weeks.
Yep. 17 years in a row.
Oh. Now, as opposed to doing a cruise ship, you know, beautiful environment like this, do you still enjoy getting back to the grassroots type of? You know?
Oh, it's my heartland. It's what I do. It's those people. I'll get a tear in my eye here because those people are so important to me. Those are my fans. I mean, I still do shows. I've been trying to tell a lot of the other major country music artists in Australia that they should forego the band and the big PA setups and go and do the little clubs and pubs that really need their support at this present time in the economy.
17 years is a long time to be going, you know, to that festival.
It's a bit of a landmark actually. It's 18th year this year. So
I'm surprised they don't have. Is there something named after you up there?
No.
Maybe that's what you need to.
No, Pixie Row.
Pixie
one
Row.
of the tents or something. Yeah, that'd be good.
So young, aspiring country musicians in this country, Pixie. Where do you think it's a good field for people to get into?
As far as instrumentation is concerned, there's a lot of fiddle players and young banjo players coming through, and I'd like to think that I'm inspiring to them in some way, even if they're not gay. But there's lots of other, you know, jazz has been the predominant focus for a lot of instrumentalists in Australia, jazz and classical music, but certainly folk and country music is on the rise amongst young instrumentalists in Australia, and that's great.
What would be your advice to someone sitting back watching this going, I reckon I could have a fiddle?
Don't.
You don't want the competition.
No, yeah, I don't want the competition. That's exactly right. You know exactly what I'm saying. They might be better than me, and never get anybody up on stage with you because that's a worry. Yeah, in case they're better than you. Look, it's all to do with.
After 30 years, you still enjoy it, though.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, I think that I've always said jokingly to people that if P&O and any other employer knew how much I actually enjoy being on stage, I don't think they'd pay me as much. Because I really, really love it. And I hope that comes across in the performances.
Yeah, well, they say it's one of those things that, you know, if you do it for free almost because you love doing it that much.
Oh, look, no true words being spoken with a lot of us, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I can see that glint in your eye as well.
Yeah.
And you were interviewing Amber before, I believe, and she's got that same glint in her eye. She loves doing it as well.
Yeah, well, it's all about, you know, the audience. And you being up there and getting that feedback. It's instantaneous, isn't it?
Oh, it's a lovely thing. It's if you're not an entertainer, you wouldn't know what that energy feels like. You have no idea what that drug is like. It's this thing that just grabs you, and you want to be a part of it, and you just. And I'm one of the unfortunate people that don't get nervous before a show. So I get nervous when I'm out there, but not before the show. It's bizarre. I just don't have
no sense of like anxious.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm like, yeah, righto, let's get on with it. You know, when I'm out there, that's when I get nervous.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when I get nervous. That's when I'm, you know, I think I should walk over this way now, or maybe I should walk over here. Are these people being entertained enough? What about these people? Are they okay? You know.
Yeah.
I tend to look after them like a family, and yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. So if anybody wants any information on Pixie Jenkins, where will they go?
To the local priest, Catholic priest. No, PixieJenkins.com.
P-I-X-I-E?
P-I-X-I-E-J-E-N-K-I-N-S, one word, PixieJenkins.com. There's some videos, a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. Just go and Google Pixie Jenkins on YouTube, or just Google me in general because, hey, who doesn't want to be Googled?
And we'll leave it there. Pixie Jenkins, thank you very much for hanging out.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Good on you.